Part 1 of this tutorial will focus on some of the basic things that you can do when using tools in Microsoft Excel. To begin, we'll focus on the data set and what you can do from within this data set, and then we'll move on to some of the tools and tabs at the top. One thing you may notice when you're looking at a set of data is that you're not able to see all of the content within a column or row because it's squished. In order to fix this problem, what you can do is select the arrow in the upper left corner. This will highlight all of the data on the page. Now, if you double-click between A and B at the top, it will expand those columns, making all of the content within those columns visible to you. Another thing you may want to do is insert a row or a column somewhere throughout your data set. To do this, you'll select the column that you would like to be moved further to the right at the very top. You'll go right-click on that column and select Insert, placing a new column to the left of that column. If you'd like to insert a row, you can select the row that you would like to go below this new row that you're inserting, right-click, and press Insert, placing a column above it. Another thing you may want to do is change the location of a row or a column and move it to another part of the data set. To do this, select the column that you'd like to move, right-click, and then select Cut. Find the location where you would like the column to be moved to, right-click, Paste. Now your column has moved, and you can delete the column that is now empty. Another thing that you can do is to move the location of a row. Just as you had done for the column, select the row that you'd like to move, select Cut, find the location where you'd like the row to be moved to, right-click, and select Insert Cut Cells. This will move that row right above the row that you selected. Now, you may want to know how you can autofill a column with a lot of information instead of typing content into cells individually. For example, if I wanted the date to continue down this row, down this column, and I didn't want to have to do it by hand, I could select the corner of this cell, which is a little black box, and I can drag that little black box down the column, and it will autofill with the date. Now, I noticed that it autofilled the dates following October 13th. If I don't want that to be the case and I'd rather it stay and repeat just a copy of that cell, I can go to this little autofill options icon here and select Copy Cells. And now a duplicate of that cell that I dragged will follow down this column. I can also right-click and select Clear Contents if I no longer want anything that I've selected in those cells. Another thing you may want to do is change the direction of the text. Right now, all of the text at the top column is being displayed horizontally. If you'd like that text to be displayed vertically, select that top column by clicking on the 1, right-click, and go to Format Cells. Now you'll go to the Alignment tab, and you can drag the text to change the orientation, and press OK. And now this text is being displayed vertically instead. So those are some basic tips and tricks that you can remember from this main data set page here. And now we'll move on to the Home tab at the top. You'll notice that a lot of these icons are very familiar to you. You have your cut, your copy, you can change some of the font features here, as well as if you'd like the font to be centered or to the left or to the right. But I'll show you some tools from within the Home tab that you may not be as familiar with. One tool that you may not be familiar with is the Wrap Text tool. If you have a lot of content in a cell and you don't want it to continue going throughout the row, but rather you'd like it to wrap, select that cell and click Wrap Text. Now, all of that text will confine to the size of the cell and continue pushing the cell further down. You may also want to merge multiple cells together. Click on all of the cells that you'd like to be merged into a single cell and select the Merge and Center button. Now, what once was multiple cells is a single cell. Moving along, you have a few other options. You can turn a certain set of text into a monetary amount by clicking on this dollar sign. Now you'll notice that all the data in this set is a dollar amount. You also have the option to make it a percentage as well. And you can change the location of the decimal place if you have decimals in your data set. A very interesting tool that you have within the Home tab is conditional formatting. Conditional formatting is good if you'd like the color or the font or some feature of the text to change if a certain condition applies. For example, if the students in this data set scored below 15 points, I'd like them to be displayed in red. So I can select this entire set of data, go to conditional formatting, and create a new rule. Now, I'd like to format only cells that are less than or equal to 15. And now right below it, I can set the formatting that I'd like those cells to be. I'd like them to be bold, and I'd like them to turn red. So I can press OK, and now automatically all of the cells with data that is a score lower or equal to 15 have turned red. So maybe you also would like to sort this data set by the test scores. To do that, I'll select all my data again by clicking on the arrow button in the corner, and I will go to the button at the top of the Home tab here that says Sort and Filter. I can sort it A to Z or Z to A, but I can also custom sort, so I will do that. So I would like to sort this by test score, and I'd like them to be in order smallest to largest. I'll press OK, and now you'll notice the test scores are in order. If I wanted to, I could also select my data, custom sort, and instead of sorting by score, I could sort by last name, A to Z. And now I have a list of my students in alphabetical order. If I'm looking for a certain piece of information on this spreadsheet but I can't find it, I could use the Find and Select button, and I can search for something specific. So if I was looking for a certain student with the last name Valera, I could find their name, and Excel would let me know what cell that text is located in. By going to Replace, I could find a certain piece of information on my spreadsheet and replace it with something else. I could either replace all if multiple instances of this text occurred, or I could just replace it once. And you'll notice it has changed in my spreadsheet. And I can close. So those are a few different features of the Home tab. One thing you may also want to do is filter. So if you would like to filter by something specific, you could go to the Sort and Filter button once again, and now this time instead of sorting, you can select Filter. You'll notice that a lot of drop-downs appear. So if I would like to filter by only students who received a certain score, so maybe a 15, I could go to this particular column, test score. I could unselect everything and instead just find what I'd like it to filter by and press OK. Now, none of the other students will appear in my list, but only the test score that I filtered by will appear. By clicking on that filter icon again, I can select everything and press OK, and now the rest of my data will appear. By going to the Sort and Filter button again, I can turn filters off. Moving on to the next tab, the Insert tab, it's here where you can insert multiple object types into your spreadsheet if you choose to do so. So, for example, if you'd like to insert a graph or a chart, what you could do is select the data, and you can select what type of chart you'd like to insert. So I'd like a column, and I'd like it to look like this. And now you'll see automatically it took all of my data, the test scores for my students, and made a chart with all of their names. From here, I can select different parts of data in order to display my graph differently. So if I only wanted to see a smaller set of students, I could select them instead, and the graph and chart would change accordingly. I have other options within the Insert tab that you may already be familiar with. Similarly to Microsoft Word, you can insert shapes, clip arts, pictures, tables, text boxes, word art, and so on and so forth. The next tab is the Page and Layout button, and there are a few things that you can do within here. If you choose to do so, you could go to the background icon and apply a background to your Excel spreadsheet if you would like, but you don't have to do this. You could also create a page break, just like in Microsoft Word, if you wanted to split content between multiple pages. You can change the orientation, and if you wanted to, you could select a set of your data and select the Print Area button, and you can set that to be the print area. And none of the rest of your spreadsheet will print, only what is established in that print area. So this may be something that you're interested in. Another option that you have is to go to the Formulas tab. We will talk about this more in part 2 of the Excel tutorial, so we won't focus on that tab for now. Instead, we will go to the Data tab. Within here, you'll notice there's also that option to sort and filter. This will do the same thing as the sort and filter button within the Home tab. Just be aware that it's also available in the Data tab if you choose to use it here as well. Another thing you may really like is the Remove Duplicates button. If you know that there might be duplicates of a certain student in your spreadsheet or a certain piece of data that you'd like to be removed, you can click on the Remove Duplicates and select only the duplicates that you'd like it to remove. So if I only wanted a test score to show up once in my list, I could select that. And now it would tell me that 3 duplicate values were removed and 10 unique values remain. So that's something that you may be interested in using. Let's see if there's anything else in here that maybe you might want to use. Probably not too many of these will be useful to you. So we'll go to the Review tab. You can use the Spell Check button if you wanted to check the spelling of any of your content on your spreadsheet. You can add a comment here as well if you had something to say about this spreadsheet. If you don't want the comment, you could click on it, right-click on it, and use your backspace button to get rid of it. Alright, so now we'll go to the View tab at the top. This is very nice if you'd like to freeze the top row of your spreadsheet so that as you scroll down you can still see those headings. Select that first row of headings and go to the Freeze Panes button within the View tab and go to where it says Freeze the Top Row. Now by doing this, as you scroll down, you can still see those top row headings, which is really nice. You can also, if you want to, select maybe the first column. You could freeze just the first column as well. So you could go to Freeze Panes again and then freeze. You could either select Freeze Panes or Freeze First Column, and now as you move to the side, that first column will remain stationary. So this may be something you'd like. You could also, from within here, You can split. So now this data set is split into its own separate Excel page, so to speak. You can remove it by clicking on that split button again. You also can hide some information on your spreadsheet as well if you'd like. So if I wanted to keep the date column on the spreadsheet but I wanted to hide it from view, I could go to the hide button here. Oop. Looks like I hid everything. Let's see, maybe instead let's not do that. Let's right click on here on the column that you want to hide and then go to the hide button. That will work a lot better than the button will. So now you'll notice it goes from C to E at the top. So it's telling you that column D is still there, but for now it's hidden. By selecting column C and column E and right clicking again, you could go to unhide, and now you would see that hidden data that was there before. Now if we go to the Acrobat tab at the top, you could actually create a PDF of your Excel spreadsheet if you'd like, and it would convert that into a PDF for you. So I'll show you what that would look like. And now here is my data in the form of a PDF. So this has been part one of the tutorial about Microsoft Excel basics. If you watch part two in the next week, you will find out what you can do with the formulas tab and the functions.